One wrong step here and you'll plunge 200 feet into a dark abyss. Welcome to the Yorkshire Dales. This is a hollow landscape, home to thousands of caves, over 50 of which are sheer vertical drops known as potholes. Some of these drops are massive, easy to spot and relatively safe to approach. Others are terrifyingly unassuming. And we're about to go and explore both sides of that coin. Firstly, by visiting a huge collapsed cavern known as Hull Pot, and then a more discreet 200-foot death trap that's just sitting out in the open. So let's go see if we can find them. Now the Yorkshire Dales, we're here in North Yorkshire. This is a landscape known for many different things. It attracts visitors from all over the country and further afield, even overseas. There are many reasons to come here, and one of those, for a certain group of people, is its huge network of caves. There are over 2,500 known caves around the Yorkshire Dales, probably some yet to be discovered, and over 50 of these are these vertical caves, known as potholes. And there's something unnerving about these, to me at least as a non-caver, or a non-potholer, I should say. And I think it's because some cave mouths are relatively approachable for a regular person. They're mostly horizontal. You can go to the entrance, have a little look around, and maybe not go any further without experience or equipment. It depends on the cave, but potholes are different. The ones we're about to go and see, we're talking essentially just about a hole in the ground, just sitting there. And we're going to see two very distinct versions of potholes today. Oh, there's some lambs in the path. There's not a lot I can do to avoid these, but I'll stay as far to the side as I can do. Sorry. They're teeny. Now our two destinations today. Firstly, Hull Pot. This is a great example of a huge pothole. You can't easily miss it. You're going to spot it before you get there, so certainly can be approached with some safety, but it's got some interesting features. Our final destination today though, something a little bit different. After Hull Pot, we're going to be visiting Hunt Pot. And that's the name you want to be careful with your pronunciation on, particularly if you're recording for YouTube. And Hunt Pot is different because, well, the entrance is so much smaller and less conspicuous. But the drop from the surface to the bottom is more than 3 times that of Hull Pot. So we're going to have to be a little bit sensible with how we approach this one. But I'm interested to see how it looks up close. Why are there so many caves around here though? Well, the full answer to that question is a long one, because we're talking about the history of the planet in many ways. A very long history that's shaped the landscape around us. And without going into a hefty geology lesson, not least because I'm not qualified to do that, but the result is something that's frequently referred to as karst. K-A-R-S-T. And when we talk about karst, we're really talking about topography, the landscape here. Specifically in the context of the Dales, there is an abundance of limestone, for example. And limestone is a soluble material. In other words, it dissolves. It does take time though. It's not like putting a cube of sugar into your presumably Yorkshire tea, if you've got any taste. Instead, this takes years and years, aided by the acidity of the rainfall here. And there is plenty of rain in this region, let me tell you. But the result is, after, for example, thousands of years, these networks of caves with openings large enough that we can explore. For anybody wondering, by the way, it looks quite formidable today. This is Pen-y-ghent, one of the Yorkshire 3 peaks. I'm sure some of you watching this will have climbed that in the past, maybe by itself or as part of the 3 Peaks challenge where you do all 3 in one day. Today's weather actually looks, apart from the wind, pretty good for it. Now, aside from its general abundance of caves, the Dales is also home to at least part of Britain's longest, most complex cave system, the 3 counties system. Now, this system is basically a network, if I'm getting the terminology right, of connected caves. It's estimated to be around 90 kilometres in length, and thankfully, it's quite helpfully named. You can probably guess what the name means, because this system spans 3 counties: Yorkshire, Cumbria and Lancashire. which also means if you wanted to, you could enter the caves in Yorkshire, pass underneath Cumbria and emerge out in Lancashire. Admittedly, it's probably not the most efficient way to get to work, but it's probably more fun than sitting on the motorway. Are these for moles? I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but in Yorkshire, I'm guessing across the country, maybe the world, maybe it's a local thing, they hang moles on fences sometimes. That's my best guess as to what these are for, but I may be totally wrong. Some good news for the channel, by the way. We've unlocked some new, more distant locations, thanks to the support of Holy. They've sent me their starter set deluxe. These are effectively convenience drink sachets. There's different types. We've got hydration, iced tea, energy drinks, and even milkshakes. And they're 0 sugar and less than 20 calories per serving. And if you're heading out on a long hike, they're really easy to stash in your bag, very portable. And with regards to the flavour, which is one of the things I was most curious about, I'll be honest about them. They might ask me to remove this, we'll see. But my expectations were pretty minimal. I've tried a few similar types of drinks before, and there's always a bit of a weird aftertaste. I'm not sure if you know what I mean, but I've never been a big fan. Thankfully though, these have been a pleasant surprise. And the lemon one in particular, I'd say is my favourite so far. If you're interested in seeing what's available from Holy, they've given us 2 discount codes. Northern 5 for £5 off your first order, or Northern for 10% off your order. I'll pop them on screen right now and in the description with a link to their website. And if you're wondering where these future destinations are, all will be revealed in a future video. Back to today's destinations though. We should be coming up on them pretty soon now, so let's go take a look at pothole number 1. Stop number 1, Hull Pot. Oh God. I can hear water. For anybody nervous about me being on the edge, don't forget about my selfie stick. I was actually expecting to have a waterfall here as well, because it's been a fair bit of rain this week, but I guess it's not been wet enough. Let's have a little bit of a wander around. This looks like a safe viewing platform. Ooh. When I was researching this place, I did find a video of somebody free climbing down there, and I think they took this route. And I'll be honest, I was watching it thinking like, should I attempt that? This hasn't changed my mind, because some of you will be happy to hear that I decided no. Others of you will be thinking, come on, climb down. But I mean, it's wet first of all, and I haven't been climbing for about 10 years. And the last thing I want to do is get stuck down there. Now, apart from its sheer size, although we haven't got the waterfall today, I've read reports that following periods of extreme rainfall, this can actually fill up all the way to the brim, like a huge bathtub. You can as well, if you're an experienced potholer, come here and rappel, is that the right word? You can descend down with ropes. I've seen some people doing that. And this is where ordinarily Hull Pot Beck would be flowing in. It looks quite nice down there, it's very green. So that waterfall must be flowing in underground from somewhere else. I'm not sure if this is connected to a more explorable cave network that people have been in, or whether it's just spaces that the water can get through. But it does make you wonder what else is under here. Now, if this one's making you nervous, wait till you see Hunt Pot, and you'll be happy to hear it's a very short walk away from here. So let's go and check it out. The wind is picking up. If you're interested in visiting these 2 locations, by the way, we're actually currently inside something often referred to as access land or open access land. That's not the whole of the Dales. If you look on OS maps, you'll see it as a kind of yellow shaded area. And that means you have freedom to roam the entire space here, essentially. You don't have to stick to the footpaths. And if you're not from England or you're not familiar, well, that's a little bit different to what usually happens. Because in a lot of countryside areas and private farmland, there are many rights of way, paths that we can walk and sometimes cycle on. But for the most part, we have to stick to those paths. But here, you can go wherever you want to. Do be careful though, because there are other potholes around. It's a little bit of a dangerous landscape in some ways. It's safe if you know where you're going, but if you do stray from the paths, probably worth having a good reason. And I'm sure you wouldn't do anyway, but don't spend too long looking down before looking up again, because you might run into something you don't want to. Now we will be at Hunt Pot very soon, but I wanted to just read you a very short quote before we get there. A quote from a man named John Hutton. Now John was born in the nearby county of Cumbria in the 1700s, and in 1780, almost 250 years ago, he published a book that included some references to Hull and Hunt Pot. He refers to them slightly differently as Hull Pit and Hunt Pit, so I guess the names have evolved slightly over time, but here's what he wrote. We visited Hull Pit and Hunt Pit holes. The one, if we could have descended into it, would have appeared like the inside of an enormous old Gothic castle, whose high, ruinous walls were left standing after the roof was fallen in. The other was like a deep funnel, and it was dangerous to come near its edges. So, two very evocative but opposing descriptions, and we're about to see why. Now you're probably thinking, is that it? But no, that's it. It's like an eye into the world. Now genuinely, you could walk this footpath and you'd never know this is here. And that drop is just about 200 feet from the surface to its lowest point. There's even... That's weird, I didn't know that was going to be there. Don't worry, by the way, again, disclaimer, I'm not going to be going close. But there is some stable footing here where we can get a tiny bit closer without taking any significant risks. Wow, 200 feet, surrounded by slippy rocks. It's either picturesque or terrifying, depends how you feel about these things. Now, if you are a caver / potholer, this might not scare you at all. Obviously you'll be aware of the dangers, but this might be a really exciting prospect. People have been down here. And something else that's a bit freaky about this one, similarly to Hull Pot, following periods of extreme rainfall, I presume, it's been said that this can also flood all the way up to the brim here. And I think that makes it even worse. It sounds like the starting of some kind of horror film, horror novel. Because what if you came across this space after some very wet weather, you thought, oh, that's a beautiful wild bathing spot. You hop in, you're just enjoying yourself, and then looking around thinking, sure, the water was a bit higher a minute ago. A few more minutes go by, you relax, just looking into the sky, and you feel something around your legs, and you're sinking slowly down the crevice. What happens after that, who knows, but surely that's the makings of a good horror story. Anyway, let me know what you think of Hunt Pot. Exciting, terrifying. Have you been down Hunt Pot or Hull Pot? Also, now I'm dying to know, where does this go? Now that is unfortunately going to be the end of today's adventure. Thank you so much for watching though and joining along. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Thank you for supporting the channel as well, everyone who's recently subscribed, been watching any videos, sharing, commenting and hyping, everything helps. A big shout out to all the members who help out financially with all these adventures too, all these trips. And a thank you to Holy for supporting us on our journeys as well. And I forgot to say actually, it's almost too late now in YouTube terms, but if you want to visit here for yourself, there are a great many footpaths around the Dales. So many different options. Best thing to do would be to head on to something like All Trails or the Yorkshire Dales National Park website. They have a lot of helpful information on there. If you want to follow the route I've done today, the OS Maps link and the GPX file will be in the members area very soon. Aside from that, thanks once again for watching, and fingers crossed I'll see you on the next one.